From time to time, I look up obituaries in places that I used to live, and yeah, just see how people are doing, see if they're still alive. Well, I checked one yesterday and found one that I knew really well that's not alive. She died, I think, the 25th of last month. When I first moved down to Florida, I bred parrots and dromedary camels, a single hump. I had a big setup, and I used to supplement their food with, vegetables and fruits and stuff. And she owned a fruit stand. And I got to know her. Big time smoker, really good looking older woman at the time, in her mid 40s. Two daughters that were cute as hell, too. Had a handicapped son. And, like I said, from time to time I'd check and see what they were doing. Now, the daughters would be around 50 now, so I wouldn't say we were good friends, just kind of acquaintances. I knew she was having like an affair with a married guy. And that's when I first became privy to the argument for older, attractive women and their ability to find romance, albeit maybe not in the best scenario, because the single guys were single for a reason. I'm talking in general. And the good guys, the ones that were desirable, were married. So if you wanted to, just go on forever looking for this small piece of the pie, it was going to be a while. Thus, affairs. She said she knew it was wrong. She came from a strict Baptist family up in Alabama, but she wanted to satisfy parts of herself with another man, and that was the only way to do it. I mean, forget the details of the explanation. So I wouldn't say we were friends. I bought stuff from her. We get into conversations quite a bit about things, and she didn't have any problem attracting male attention. I had a couple airline pilot buddies come down when I first moved down there, and they were single, and they were all over it, but she wasn't interested in either one of them. And the 5 years I lived down there, I saw guys come and go and knew people that worked for her, and she was just one of these people with an excellent personality. She could take a disaster and make it seem not so bad. Just more than the gift of gab, just like a very warm, charming person. I mean, they were on her ass big time trying to shut down this fruit stand. Palm Beach County just has insane regulations. I mean, it's just nuts, like overboard, right? And she was able to weather the storm for like 27 years with appeals, bullshit, and muddy in the waters, and 5,000 people signing petitions that she was good for the area. Just, a real charmer. So I remember saying to her one time, you claim you're a Christian, right? She said, yeah. I said, well, you know what comes along with that? She said, yeah, no, I'm not a perfect Christian. I said, okay. I said, but I want you to remember this. And it's true that, you're an attractive woman. She wasn't my type. That has nothing to do with it. You can really charm these guys. You're still drawing a lot of male attention. And even though you're basically a decent moral person, other than maybe your indiscretions with married men and who knows what else, but I don't want you to ever forget that no matter how many friends you have, and no matter how many petitions were signed, well, when people knew you were doing something that was a code violation but wanted you to be there anyway. In other words, they didn't hold your feet to the fire like they do with most people. They knew what you were doing was wrong, but they liked you more than the consequence of breaking a rule. They wanted you around. They liked buying stuff there. I said, but I don't ever want you to forget that what paid the bills is between your legs. And she's paused. And she said, what do you mean by that? I said, you know what I mean by that. That's what paid the bills. And that was the last conversation I ever had with her. We kind of drifted apart. I sold my parrots, decided to leave my wife, and headed out shortly after that. And I remember in some of those conversations we had, she was a chronic smoker and just couldn't find ways to quit and still looked good. When I met her, she would have been like 45, big, tall, blonde, good tan, pretty face. And, you know, a lot of these funeral homes now, they do this thing where they get a hold of a bunch of pictures and they make these like portfolios of a time of remembrance, and it's digital, and you can even get a printed one if you want. And that was on her. I found her obituary yesterday, and I looked through the whole thing. There was a ton of photos. It was probably a couple hundred, and if I had to guess, it was either COPD or lung cancer or some other kind of cancer. You could see that she was in a treatment facility, and her hands were all purple from probably IVs. Now, she was 77 and just looked like ancient. I'm sure if I'd have run into her on the street, I probably wouldn't have recognized her. But I recognized her based on, knowing who I was looking at. But yeah, she died the 25th, and just like she'd always worried, she hoped that cancer never got her, and I'm pretty sure that's what happened. The daughters are like 50 now. They have kids. But it's as you age and you get on this side of the line, when you're young and people get killed your age, you don't really think too much about it. Things happen, but at this stage of the game, they're dropping off left and right. So, rest in peace to her. I wrote her a nice little obit. Condolence. I don't think it means a thing. If anything, it means maybe something to the daughters who I knew, but they might not even remember my name. But it's tits up now. It's over. Her presence on earth is done. Nothing went anywhere. Party's over.